Hey guys, I'm Nicky Romero, a DJ and producer from the Netherlands. Today we are at the Instigate Studios and I wanted to loop you guys through a project that I made only of Nicky Romero presets and samples from the Nicky Romero Splice pack. Now, I can imagine sometimes it's hard to start a song and find sounds that really sound good enough and that inspire you to produce the actual song. That's something that we all struggle with. And I just wanted to show you how to tweak, how to get to the right presets and maybe inspire you with the sounds that we've been building over the years to start your song and to help you create your own identity. To start off, this is a project and you'll see a lot of things going on. Most of it are just layers as, for example, progressive house really consists of a lot of different layers to give the sound that like nice and full body. Every sound really has a different, every sound has a different approach and every sound also has a different destination in the mix. So there's layers that if you take them solo, they might sound a little dull, a little weird. If I go over a few layers, these are all presets that are available in the pack, and I'll try to show you guys how to use them, how to apply them, and how to level them out. Because if you just throw everything in the blender, it's going to be hard to see what's what. So you want to have a preset that has a function and it has a way of standing out in the mix. And by using these presets in the right way and EQing them, compressing them, processing them the right way, you'll have that nice full stack of sounds that really is going to fill up all the gaps in the spectrum that helps you to make the sound really professional. So let's go to the leads to start off with. You see all those bars are playing most of the time just the same melody. It's just different octaves and the sound has a different function in the mix. So going over the first few leads, for example, this is silent and it has a preset called the Nicky Romero lead, sad lead. Well, I'm not sad right now, but if we just had to find a name for the sound, but there you go. So for example, this preset really helps you creating an atmosphere in the mix. It's really thematic, as I would say. It has a lot of delay, a lot of reverb, not a lot of clarity, but this just really creates an ambience. It creates a theme in the song, and you're gonna need this layer in order to have the synth like a certain vibe. Otherwise, it's gonna sound too clean and it's gonna miss identity. So if you solo it, it might just be not enough. But if you have the entire pack, which sounds like this, you'll hear it's barely noticeable, but if you go to the EQ, you'll see that it adds its value by the delay, by the reverb, and if you take it out, it kind of misses something. So it's hard. How do you find a sound that you barely hear in the entire mix? Well, this is just trial and error. And I'm going to try to take you through all the layers and also its function. So the lead sad made with silent really is a vibe, and it really is all about like a theme. You can adjust it to your liking by opening on the cutoff, or you make it a little longer by the release, by decay. You can add even more delay or compress it a little more. It really is your liking, but for me, this sound is meant to be in the background, so I leave it like this. So, taking a different lead, probably the ugliest sound in the mix if you take it solo, but a really important one to the entire mix of all the leads. And why is that? Because it has a lot of presence. It's really in your face. There's not a lot of reverb, there's not a lot of delay, it's in your face, and therefore it's not the nicest sound, but in the mix it's a really important level and a really important channel overall. So if I take it out, you're gonna miss clarity again. So this is an important layer here, and it's made with Spire. Now Spire is known for really professional sounding presets, and therefore we picked also a preset pack and we made a few presets that are applicable in Spire because it's going to help you to have presence in your lead buses. So Spire is a great plugin to give clarity to your leads. What else do we have? We have a noise. I hear you guys thinking, why do you have noise in your leads? Because it's going to distract people. Well, that's true, but noise can be really helpful to give a little bit of attack to your synths. Sometimes it feels like you have a great mix, but you miss the attack on the synths. Now, white noise doesn't take a lot of, space in your mix, but it really adds that attack. So you can make white noise with literally every plugin. I just easily use it with the ESP from Logic, or you just pick a silent. It really doesn't matter as long as it has an attack. Therefore, I don't have it as a preset here in this pack, but you can really just make it with any different kind of synth. Really depends on what you like to work with. Another Spire here. Again, a pretty annoying sound, but really important in the mix. And the difference of the other lead is it's also pitched an octave up. Because if you have everything playing in the same octave, it's going to be really messy and it's going to be really hard to mix. So one layer of the leads is pitched up high, it's plus 12, and one is like minus 12, and there's one at 0. So therefore you create a full stack of sound that's really going to help you getting that full sound as a lead bus layer. So a lot of different leads playing in different aspects of the EQ and with different approaches to each sound. Now, what else is playing? Kind of the same sound, but then pitched down. This is a really easy silent. It's called the sad lead again. So it's basically the same one as in the beginning, just with a different octave and with different processing. This one has less reverb and less delay. So a different function of the same preset. Another silent here, which is called Euphorica. Really important in the mix. You'll hear it has less attack, more presence, and therefore it has a different function than the other ones. So we're talking about more than 8 different layers, and it doesn't always mean that you need 8 layers. Showing you all these elements solo, I can show you the end result. And you know that you've done things right if it sounds like it's only one layer. I can imagine you think like, hey, why do you need 8 different layers to achieve this? Well, you can try doing it with one, but you'll see that all those different channels have a different importance in this lead synth. So for me, it works to use 8 different layers, 6 different layers, depending on the song. Now, how do you process the lead bus where everything comes together, glued as one? You want to make sure that all these layers have the same processing. Otherwise, they're gonna stand out from each other, and you wanna make sure that it really feels like it's blended in, like it's one layer. So that's easier also on your master bus to process. So a few things that are important. The EQ, you want to make sure there's some low cut going on. Otherwise, you don't want to have a lead playing too low of a frequency because it's going to interfere with the bass and with the kick. You don't want that. So I use the Fab filter Q3. But there's different EQs to your liking. Some reverb is always nice to give it a little bit more atmosphere. There is a EQ going on that helps me to cut off the sound towards the drop. You want to have that cut off feeling. You do that with a single band EQ or with a filter, depending on what you like. Another interesting plugin that I really like to use is the UAD, which is Universal Audio is a great company that delivers quality plugins. And for me, I could not work, in music without these plugins, for real. Dangerous, BaxEQ is a really great solution to add like a little salt and pepper to the mix. It's very clinical, and it can give that like nice airy sound to your synth bus. And you can actually apply it in your master too, but in this case, I thought it sounded nice. It sounds nice on the bus. And do not forget Kickstart, our own very little plugin that is doing a great job on doing the ducking towards the kick, so it sounds like it's in balance with the rest. Now, that's enough, I think, for the lead bus. You guys better just try it out and see if you can get something to your liking. Level it up with different kind of layers. Make sure they have the same processing, and do not forget that every sound has its own distinctive place in the mix. Diving into the bass and to some drum samples. How do you get to a certain sound? A lot of people ask me, how did you develop the Nicky Romero sound? Or they say, you know, I want to have tracks sounding like you, which is a great compliment, and I'm really, really happy with that. But what I want for you is that you develop your own identity. And how do you do that? How do you get your track sounding professional? Well, that does not mean that you cannot take elements from other songs or pick samples that other people use. The way you should do it is just grab those things and make them yours. I mean, Picasso never finished off his paintings with paint that he developed himself. He takes elements that are already there and makes it his. So I would say, I would invite you to do the same thing with samples. Take great sounding samples or presets and make them sound yours. You don't have to be a super engineer to get to do that. You just have to find a way, how do I take something and make it mine? Now, it starts off with good samples. If your sample does not sound great, your end result is not going to sound great either. The source needs to be good. And we just try to supply you guys with a pack of good sounding samples that helps you create your identity, and it helps you to get a song sounding professional really fast. Now, what can you find in the packs other than the presets I just showed you? There is some samples here for drums that helps you getting to a level in the song where you get inspired to, to finalize it in order to, have to spend less time on mixing, EQing, compressing, because most of the samples have already been processed. So you just have to drag it in, adjust it to your liking, process it a little bit to your liking, and you're good to go. So a lot of drums, a lot of kicks, and funny to see that here again on one of these head loops applied a kickstart. So it dances a little bit to the kick drum. I like to play around with that a little bit. You can do that with yours, same as for effects. You can always put a sidechain on your effects in order to have it blend in a little bit more in the mix. Another fun and important part of your song is the bass. Again, just like the layers of the leads, you want to have different layers in your bass for different places in the mix. There's your sub bass, the really low frequencies. You only want to have them in the mix when the kick is not playing, and therefore you can use a sidechain. Kickstart, put it on your bass, and it will adjust the volume every time the kick hits. You want to make sure that the kickstart and the sidechain is not the same on every channel, because sometimes when you have a sub bass, you need extreme sidechaining in order that nothing is playing when the kick is playing. But a mid bass or a high bass, they can have a little bit more air because they need to feel a little bit more airy in the mix. And I can show you the different layers here, like a real sub, full-on sidechaining. And there is a plugin here doing that, and you can actually put it to 100, so it's not playing at all when the kick is hitting, which means more space in your master and you can mix louder. So then an even lower one, an octave lower, same thing, you want to have full sidechaining. Then there is a mid bass. As you can hear, it's less sidechaining and it's less heavy because it takes up less energy in the mix. So you can just do a different preset here at kickstart, apply a little different of a mix so it feels more natural. Last one, high bass. Actually, it's not even a bass, it's just playing the notes of the bass. And if you would sum that up together, all these presets made in either Spire or Silent or you name it, you can just add them all together to your liking, blend them together in a mix bus and see how it sounds like. That's a pitch thing, I think. So it's really interesting to see how do you process all these sounds and how do you make them yours. With the Nicky Romero Splice pack, we really want to invite you to discover yourself, create your own identity using quality presets and quality samples. Do not forget to find your own way of mixing because it's gonna sound like you, and you wanna have it sound like you. There already is a Martin Garrix, there is already an Afrojack, there is a Nicky Romero, there's a Swedish House Mafia. You wanna sound like you. And I wanna invite you all to just try it out. Go to Splice, use Splice. It's gonna make you, it's gonna make life much easier to use Splice. You just have to drag and drop, and you're good to go. So you guys better check it out. Nicky Romero Splice Pack. You're good to go.